California Senator Kamala Harris is traveling to South Carolina and Iowa in the next week, fueling speculation she will be seeking the Democratic nomination in the 2020 presidential election. Both states will be key to winning a spot on the ballot. Iowa will be the first state to hold caucuses, and South Carolina will be the third state to vote on a nominee. Politico national correspondent David Siders joins us now. He's been following Harris's strategy. David, great to have you with us. Let's start with her efforts in Iowa. You've spoken to some of her advisors. If she runs, why does she think she can be competitive there?
I think because if you look at the California electorate, where she's won statewide, California doesn't have a large proportion of black voters, and while it does have a large proportion of Latino voters, her victories have included white progressives, particularly in the San Francisco area. So when you look at the primary electorate in Iowa, that's a pretty liberal Democratic electorate, and I think she thinks she can win there. She also looks at the example of Barack Obama, who obviously did well in Iowa.
Right now, so if Harris runs, what do you think her campaign's overall strategy would have to be to have a chance in the primary? I mean, we know that there are a lot of forces pushing the Democratic Party a little further to the left. Do you think that she's going to have to take some of those stances?
I think that a lot of candidates, including Harris, will be hit for elements of their records that may not be the most progressive. For Harris, it's the biggest one, I think, is being a former prosecutor. Mm-hmm. But you've seen her take some pretty progressive stances in Senate, and I think that she's positioning herself that way.
Right. And now, as you mentioned, she is a Democrat from California. So does that mean that she might face challenges in states like, say, New Hampshire?
I think so. I mean, the New Hampshire electorate's a lot whiter than elsewhere, and then also you look at just the proximity to the candidates who are around New Hampshire already have a footprint, I think, in that state. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, who won the state, clearly has an edge there. Deval Patrick. So I think she thinks that would be or her advisors think that will be a taller lift. Not that she'll ignore it, but that's clearly not her pathway. Her best shot is in the South and South Carolina, and then using that nexus of California and Nevada to really bring it home on Super Tuesday.
Right. All right. Now, she is also a first-term senator. Will that have an impact on her chances? Will there be some that will say, wait a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there already are people who say she's too fresh, she's untested. It could have an impact in the campaign in that she, while she's been traveling a lot these last several months, she hasn't been on the national scene for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. So that it could be structurally hard for her. But I don't think being a first-term senator is necessarily a problem. In fact, it shields her from having taken some votes when a Democratic president was in office. And so the only record she has really is this record opposing Trump. And I think that's probably appealing to a lot of Democratic primary voters.
Absolutely. Now, the field of potential Democratic 2020 candidates is very large. Which of the other names that we've heard could risk cutting into her appeal? I mean, who would she most directly be going up against?
Well, I think you look at the top tier candidates as the ones who make it difficult for any candidate. So Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, those cut into anybody's base of support. Joe Biden can fundraise in Los Angeles. Elizabeth Warren can fundraise in Los Angeles. So Kamala Harris has competition there. Mm-hmm. But then as it comes to, say, South Carolina, Cory Booker, I think, has made inroads in that state. He's also African American. And then Joe Biden, particularly in South Carolina, has long-standing ties there.
All right. Well, David Siders, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.